Ever since the 2016 Pokemon World Championships, where it looked like on stream, Michael Pramwat was stacking his deck into amazing god-tier draws, I have been on high alert for Pokemon TCG streams, and this happened on stream for the finals, the Master Division Finals for the World Championships at 2018. Robin Schultz is having a god-tier run through Worlds, undefeated in all games with only one draw, and something like this hasn't happened since the first World Championships for the TCG. Jeff, he is getting bodied, and then it seems like there is some desperate behavior that goes on right here. So he's going through his deck. Don't worry guys, I understand how the Pokemon TCG works. In my Michael Pramwat video, people are like, oh, you're supposed to look at your deck for a long time to understand your prize cards and stuff. Well, the thing is, Pramwat already knew his prize cards from earlier searches, and it just seemed like he was really studying his deck to try to figure out where to put the best cards where. So with this one, it's pretty interesting. So he does a search, and look at this, boom! You can see the blatant line. He thumbs, pulls back, and then keeps the top card on top in an obvious Hindu shuffle. I do want to clarify something for the rest of the video, because I was like looking up shuffle terminology and stuff after I ended up recording it, and apparently this is a type of perfect shuffle known as the out shuffle. So two kinds of perfect shuffles. The out shuffle is one in which the top card stays on top. Now I refer to this as the Hindu shuffle throughout the video because that's effectively what I was told that it's called. That the Hindu shuffle is more just like a square when you like Yu-Gi-Oh shuffle it and you just pull stacks out and then place it back on top and stuff. But the way that I was taught was that, you know, whenever you're doing any kind of method that preserves a card either on the top or the bottom, that's known as a Hindu shuffle. So sorry if that's a little confusing, but effectively it's just perfect shuffling and it's an intentional stack. Boom, gets stacked in right there. All right, so let's continue this, and then a second time. So he goes for two Hindu shuffles in a row, just like that. Also, the playback is kind of messing up on me because whenever I pause it on like the slowdown, it does some really weird stuff. So now let's go back through this in one clean motion now that I showed you guys what's happening, because yeah, the playback doesn't like half speed. So we see, look at that, immediately just straight to bending his deck, bending that top card, catching it in a double Hindu shuffle, and then this is where it's also double sketchy. Boom. Over the top cut leaves a visible line where he moved the top card strategically into the deck to try to get a cut stack. Like, it doesn't, like, that was super apparent right there. I'm surprised that the judges didn't catch that. Like, I saw it live first time on stream, because whenever there's a Hindu shuffle, that's just super sketchy. Like, you're a Worlds level player. You should understand how to shuffle the deck properly. But what we see with the shuffle, it's completely intentional. The way that his thumb bends that card, catches it on the top, double Hindu, and then no riffle outside of that. And then just into just the straight flat to where we can see the visible line. So after he does that third cut, so this is number one, then number two, then number three, watch how you can even see the line. The visible where he just went over, boom, right there, there's the line. And he tries to just kind of fold it in right there to force a cut near that card. That way he draws into what he is looking for. That is so sketchy. Alright, so what is allegedly being attempted here is known as a cut stack. Just because you cut the deck doesn't mean you're safe from being cheated against. So let's go and break down the maneuver. So he saw the card on top because he searched through his deck and then tried to figure out prize cards and stuff like that. Standard for Pokemon. But then what he does is a very interesting Hindu shuffle. Like, you can actually see the line. You can see where he uses his thumb to hold it and then he shuffles around it. And I'm trying to do this through the camera, so it might not be the most clean, but I'm going to try to replicate what I saw as best as possible and what is very apparent on the stream. So he does two cuts like this, keeping the top card on top, and then when he goes for the final shuffle, he doesn't riffle it in or do anything like that. He just goes straight over it in a pretty smooth manner to where it's kind of hard to tell. But what does kind of stick is that there's a line. You can see where he ended up cutting the deck, and this is actually to try to trap players. So when you're going up against a cut shuffle, you know, they're going to see this. And then a lazy player is just going to grab it, their finger's going to catch where it was stacked like that, and then they're just going to do a standard cut, and we're going to find our card on top. So that's pretty much how simple it is, you know. His looked a lot cleaner. It wasn't perfect, because there were still lines, it was still visible, so I don't know how much time went into that, or anything like that, but yeah, that just kind of shows the methods that are behind this, and it's super sketchy when that happens. Now, there are ways of countering this, because, you know, say the card is, you know, here in the deck. Well, if you cut under it, then that means it now gets pushed to the bottom, and they're not going to be able to find it. So it's best that if you feel like you're being cut shuffled against or cut stacked against, what you want to do is just try to cut really low on the deck. And I think we actually see that happening, that, you know, it's like the last couple of cards that end up getting picked up, because that way there's nothing being fooled around with right there. That was like the most shuffled part. So try to like aim for the most shuffled parts when cutting, or sometimes you don't even cut, you just hand it back to the opponent. Or if you want to be really BM, it's like, hey, I'm on to you, just take the first couple cards, be like, just in case, and then hand their deck back to them like that. So hope that kind of clears up what it looks like, because that is super sketchy. Like, how hard is it? How hard is it to shuffle, guys? Like, you know, all you have to do is go over, you know, just go over and shuffle it like that. Make sure all the cards are getting nice and riffled. No suspicion whatsoever. The thing that caught my eye is 2 Hindu shuffles, keeping the top card on top, and then not even shuffling, just overcutting like that. So that means there's a chance, you know, he knows where the card is, he knows what he wants in this area, and then if the opponent gets baited into it, free win. And then later on in the match, things get pretty mental. So right now, he searched Cynthia, shuffling his deck afterwards, and here we see proper shuffling. He's going over, there's no like cut shuffling, maybe like the odd Hindu shuffle, but sometimes that's just a natural mistake that happens. So he shuffles it properly, then he plays his Cynthia, and boom, right there. Back at it again. So he had a Necrozma. It wasn't the Dawn Wings that he ends up drawing. He had a regular Necrozma in the top of his hand, puts his hand straight on top of the deck. So the card on top that he's preserving right now is a regular Necrozma. This could be done for a couple of reasons. We're later into the game, so the decks are getting pretty thin. Depending on his draw power, he's trying to set it up for potentially into that Dawn Wings Necrozma. But I mean, this is actually insane, the way that he ends up doing it. So if I can find the right timestamp, it's like a 36. So watch how he does it, because he almost shuffles properly. So we have the Necrozma in the top, just lays it right on there, and then he grabs half the deck, goes over, almost goes too far, and then into the Hindu. That is as sketchy as it gets. Once again, preserves the cards. Unfortunately, there is a camera cutaway. So, I mean, okay, sure, he's not looking at his deck, but if you're only just doing the top card, you don't need to look for that. And then he hands it off. So we don't know what ended up happening. So we get an interesting cut right here. And then after that, it draws into the Acrobike, into the Necrozma. And that was pretty strong. Like, I don't know what the Acrobike Necrozma play really meant. That's pretty much what the commentators were saying. Like, the thing he needs right now is that Dawn Wings Necrozma. He's going to play the Acrobike, and if he can find the Dawn Wings Necrozma, he does it. The crowd goes wild, everyone goes crazy, and that is like a major momentum shift that he needed. So the thing is, he still loses this match, and then Robin goes and takes Worlds, but just because you lost doesn't change cheating and shouldn't affecting the punishment, because like this is multiple sketchy shuffles. This is multiple sketchy behavior to try to manipulate the deck into a non-random position to give him the best chance. And so yeah, he plays the Acrobike, he goes into Necrozma, and even then, like, even though like he didn't draw straight into it afterwards, he can still have moved the cards around his deck or tried to like suppress cards that he thought was garbage and then make it work. So he gets to play, he gets the cards after some very questionable behavior along the way. So yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. There was a lot of really interesting discussion with Michael Pramwat's cheating, because that was like, I just turned on the stream and instantly I saw what looked like shuffling face up. Okay, maybe he just doesn't know how to shuffle properly, except I've shown, like, throughout other parts that, yeah, he shuffles face down and then doesn't get the RNG, and then when he shuffles face up and does, like, some specific, very interesting moves, then, like, oh, never mind, he gets the super crazy draw that everyone goes insane about. So, I mean, like, you can just tune in, and then sometimes, you know, it's like, hey, it looks like a legit game of TCG. I've watched some other matches, didn't see anything, and then every once in a while, there's some little tick, especially if you've been playing TCG for a while, or now, since I'm on alert for looking at this stuff, where it's like, wait a second, you don't just Hindu shuffle like that. It's not hard to put cards over the other cards, and then make them all nice and mixed up and riffled, so that's something crazy. So tell me what you guys think about what ended up happening over here. And yeah, like, this got a lot of backlash, even though it's pretty obvious. Like, I think that this might actually be what got Jaywitz to block me, even though he never said anything about it. Like, oh, it's like, oh, I got upset at his friend, because Jaywitz was commentating this match. It's like, oh, I called out his friend for cheating. When will Verlisify ever stop with these just ruthless attacks on other people? But, yeah, you know, I don't know how card games work, but that shuffle doesn't look like a proper shuffle. Spectator, referee, that shuffles deck for them. I mean, you are allowed to shuffle the opponent's deck if you don't think it was satisfactory, but you just don't expect to go up against someone that's cheating. So I think what this needs is also awareness for both the judges and the players. Something like that. DC judge. Okay, here we go. DCI judge for many years and currently going for my Pokemon Professor's license. These were absolutely terrible shuffles. Card faces were visible, never shuffles last card, and he's couching the bottom of his deck with this shuffle to encourage a cut stack. And yeah, like that's, I think, I don't know if that's couching as in a term or touching, but I mean that's what we saw with the shuffle from Jeff, that you encourage it at a special spot by just kind of nudging it over right there. Actually, yeah, couching makes sense because it makes like a little sofa kind of couch right there. So yeah, this is why I've told players for years that sometimes the best cut is a knock. So that's when you just tap the deck and you pass it off. The amount of cheating shuffles in TCG and clock stalling in VGC made me really rethink getting my Professor's license. May not know much about Pokemon cards. Always thought these tournaments there should be an official person deal the cards like casinos, eliminating cheating. 15 years of MTG experience, and yeah, this is why I shuffle my opponent's deck after they present. Why so many dislikes, this is cheating, it can't get more obvious. So, yeah. And then there's just, like, the stupid defense. Like, yes, just because he's a popular figure and has been playing forever, should have researched more and tried to reach out. But what's going to happen? I reach out to Pram. No, man, I wasn't cheating. Yeah, the tapes show otherwise. And then we also have, like, judges and some other people showing otherwise. Yeah, good thing they were streaming this. You may be able to fool an opponent, but you can't fool the internet. It's just nuts. So we're going to see what happens. There's also been some other videos of other TCG stacking and cutting and then like improper plays, like doing 2 supports and knowingly, intentionally misplaying and stuff like that. So yeah, this is nuts, and it looks like it happened again at Worlds. The desperation, about to get eliminated, 1-0. Just throw in a little bit of Hindu and see if you can pump your odds up just a bit. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.